The so-called civil rights movement that Martin Luther King started, that should have never happened because it separated the people, and the so-called civil rights leader took over the minds of black people and started making them feel like they were victims. And so most blacks, not all, but most blacks stopped thinking for themselves as they turned their lives over to the so-called civil rights leaders, Jesse Jackson and all those guys. And so they sold the blacks to the Democratic Party for free money, welfare, and all that. And the civil rights people wanted power and wealth for themselves. So they started pushing this idea about racism, white people hate black folks and all that, and the blacks fell for it. I remember things changing when that happened.
At the same time that tensions between blacks and whites began to grow in the early 70s, another phenomenon was impacting the black community.
You started to have more out-of-wedlock birth because when I was growing up, it was less than 10% of black babies born out of wedlock. But when the civil rights leaders sold the blacks to the government and these women started getting welfare checks and things like that, they stopped getting married. They started to have babies just to be on welfare because the more children you had, the more money you would get. And so they started having babies out of wedlock, no more father and mother together. They started brainwashing the kids about racism in the schools. And it just, one thing led to another. And they noticed that white people were not speaking out against it. And it just made it worse. They were trying to appease the blacks. It just got worse and worse and worse.